It's Tony, your Pop-Pop's Workshop, and this week we're talking epoxy. Just got done doing a demo at the Woodcraft in Iowa City on casting a pen blank. And so here's a couple of successes that we made work out. This was during the demo. This was before as a practice run. This was my first practice run on just resin. That's a failure. So we're going to talk about that in the video coming up. Follow along, please. All right, so as I said in the beginning, we're doing a epoxy demo at the Woodcraft in Iowa City this Saturday, April 13th. If you're watching this beyond that, sorry you missed it, but we're just going to do some simple pen blanks. It's pretty much the first step, you might say, in doing an epoxy project. You might cast some molds. They can be coaster molds, pen blanks, bottle toppers, lots of different molds that you can get just to do something simple to start off an epoxy, get a feel for the mixing, and if you want to add colors, and if you want to swirl colors in, everything takes practice. So it's easier to practice on that much epoxy rather than a big charcuterie board or, heaven forbid, a river table. That's probably not your first project, or shouldn't be, in all honesty. So we're going to start and do this as just kind of a little demo. Then I'll have this for the demo this Saturday, so it'll be all set up so everybody can see the finished product as we walk them through the end product. So we've got our Total Boat mixer. This particular mixer works up to 1 gallon of epoxy at a time. Nana's picked out violet as the color that we'll use from our Starbond colors. We've got our little mixing tray. We've got some Alumilite epoxy here and some gloves. So we're going to get started. You'll probably see some video snippets of different parts of the process as we go along. Okay, so our sample turned out great. Nice color. Finish that up. But I thought, I've got some scrap wood. It might be interesting to pour some color in there. So we're going to go with a yellow powder. Very little bit. I want it to kind of be as clear as possible to be able to see as much of this as we can. And brought this home from work. It's a pressure pot. So what we're going to do is do our pour, mix our resin, do our pour, put this in the pressure pot, put about 60 pounds of pressure on it, leave it for about 4 to 6 hours till this cures. We'll pop it out. And then tomorrow, we're going to repeat that process at the Woodcraft in Iowa City for our demo on pen blank resin pours. So let's get going. We'll get this stuff mixed up and see you shortly. All right, let's do an ounce of this. And now that's the hardener. This is still 1-to-1 resin, so right there. There we go. And now we stir. You just want to stir. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's a little cloudy. You can see the streaks through there. So we just want to stir until those disappear. So they'll tell us that it's thoroughly mixed when you don't have any more of those streaks. Everything has a uniform appearance, which can take a couple of minutes. All right, so we got that mixed. Now we're just going to take ever so slightly, just a little dab of powder. We can add more if we want to, but we can't take it out once it's in. So stir that in. Not too shabby, a little bit of yellow color. Maybe just a touch more. That's much better. Still get that translucent effect. We got some color. And of course, in the stirring process, we're going to make some bubbles, but that's okay. The pressure pot is going to press those bubbles out. Basically, it'll put a pressure in there and squeeze the bubbles down to the point where they're not visible to the naked eye. So, vacuum pot will pull them out, the pressure pot will squeeze them down. Your choice as to what you want. All right, so you can see we got some good color there. Now we're going to throw our wood in there. We've got a little tape that if it tries to float up, we'll just tape it across on both ends. That'll hold it in place. And now the pour. All right. I'd have to pour a little bit more. All those holes are filling up. All right, so we got that going. Got it in the mold. I use a couple toothpicks to, one thing I forgot to anticipate was wood will float in the epoxy. So some guys will use little blocks of HDPE. I didn't happen to have any of that, so I simply went ahead, took a couple toothpicks and stuck them into the side of the mold a little bit. That holds the edge down, and be able to pull those out, sand those out when the project is ready to go. So now we're going to tighten these up. I've got the regulator on this side, so I'll be able to see. I'm going to hook up the compressor. I'm going to run this up to about 60 pounds of pressure. Compressor may kick on to make this a little loud. All right. $58 pounds. So that should hold that. We'll check back with it in a few hours and see how it's doing holding pressure. And then we'll take it out of the mold. First thing in the morning, we'll take a look at it before we head off to Woodcraft. to repeat the process for the next one at the demonstration. All right, so had it in the pressure pot overnight. I didn't get to come out and try it last night, so we're going to slowly release the pressure and see what we have in there. So I'll be back in a second. Here we go. Nice. And no bubbles. Looks great. So we're going to pack everything up, repeat the process for our demo today, and have a great day in the shops. All right. That one came out pretty good. That one broke off, but we'd be turning this anyway, so we'd be cleaning that up. The demolding process. That's what I love about a good silicone mold. These are the Wood River ones from Woodcraft. You can get that kind of satisfaction. Excellent. Look at that. Very cool. Lots of things going on in there. A little bit of turning, and you got yourself a really nice pen blank there. All right. Well, on to the demo. Okay, so how'd it go? Went great. Had a nice demo on casting a pen blank there. These silicone molds from Wood River, they're great. I didn't even use any release spray in them. But as you've seen, we've had some highs in this project, and we've had some lows. This one still gets me. But if you don't follow the directions on the epoxy, you're going to have a bad result. So just a lesson for everybody that, you know, you might think, well, you can push the limits. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But I learned my lesson that read and follow all the instructions. So hopefully you learned a lesson from my failures, some of the mistakes I made, some of the things I had to adjust to, and it's maybe useful for your first epoxy project. But remember, there's lots of things you can do with epoxy, all the way up to and including casting a big river table. But you can salvage some projects where you've got a knot hole in the wrong place. Now it becomes a feature. Lots of things can be done with epoxy. So hopefully this has inspired you to get out there, try something new in your shop. And remember, you can do this.